Hi everyone, I'm Caitlin. I'm from the Burnett Institute and my presentation explores stigma towards alcohol and other drugs among young migrants. These are our disclosures. So Goffman defines stigma as a social process in which a person or group's attribute is identified as different, less desirable, or dangerous. We know that stigma is a major barrier that prevents access to alcohol and other drug-related support, particularly among migrant communities. I conducted 16 interviews and one focus group to understand alcohol and other drug-related beliefs and experiences among young migrants. Participants were from the city of Wyndham, which is an area that's southwest of Melbourne and home to a high proportion of people from newly arrived communities. The participants were from a range of ethnicities and religious backgrounds. However, there were common experiences that related to stigma. Many of the participants perceived that alcohol consumption and cannabis use were a normal part of Australian youth culture. However, most were from backgrounds where these behaviours were negatively labelled as being lazy, having a bad upbringing, and being out of control. This meant that within their communities, there was generally a preference for abstinence, which was not practical based on the young people's experiences. Participants described the expectations that were placed upon them by families and society to be successful. These expectations meant that any alcohol and drug use was seen as deviant. They felt like their parents had limited knowledge about other drugs, so tended to overreact if they found out. While many of the participants consumed alcohol and recreational drugs socially with their peer groups to belong, they believed that their families would assume that any use was problematic. Disclosing these behaviours meant there was risk of gossip, exclusion, and secondary stigma towards families. Participants believed that consequences were worse for females who were expected to drink with more shame than males. Participants described hiding their alcohol and drug use from families and were unlikely to disclose behaviours to professional services. So overall, we know there's a need for interventions that reduce stigma towards alcohol and other drugs so that people from migrant backgrounds can access support when needed. And we also need to work with young migrants to ensure that responses are relevant to their experiences. So thank you very much, particularly to the participants, and please follow up with any questions you have. Thank you.